Hi, Tony and Nikki V here, the relationship couple, and back after a long absence doing TNTV once again. So what is TNTV?
Yes, hi again. And people have been saying, where have you been? Why haven't you been doing TNTV? TNTV is a weekly, although we ought to be honest and say sometimes it runs on a little bit and it's not every 7 days.
On the odd occasion, people have been left going, it's Friday, where's my TNTV? And it came out on Monday.
And it's a kind of about 10 minutes, meant to be 5, but we're not very good at time management. It's about 10 minutes, and we're always going to give you something about intimate relationships which we know is going to be useful to you, whether you're in a relationship or whether you're single and looking for somebody fabulous.
Yeah, so today we thought, what can we give you to get off to a flying start with TNTV once again? Well, you know, we are a bit on the contentious side. So if you like a bit of a cliffhanger on a TV show or something like that, you know, you're definitely going to get some of that today. So we're going to give you probably one of the most contentious things ever in relationship coaching, and it's something that some psychologists, psychotherapists, some even other coaches do not agree with. So look, we're going to stick our flag up there and go, look, this is probably the best thing that we've ever found to get people to move and get a new and long-term result, yeah? Because often you can get short fixes, quick fixes, but this is about getting a long-term result.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter whether you're in a relationship that's not working for you. You might be like, you know, Tony and Nikki, I need to make a decision. Shall I stay or shall I go? Or you're just fed up, you know, your needs are not being met and, you know, it's all going wrong. Or you might be single and going, you know, where are all the great men? Or, you know, I keep going out but never seem to have a woman attracted to me. And you just want to have a great relationship with somebody. This is for all those people because, as Tony said, it's a fundamental of we've been doing this a long time now, 10, 11 years that Tony and I have been working with people on their intimate relationships. It's a real privilege. And all the time we've been doing that, we've come to the conclusion, as Tony said, that, you know, other coaches don't do this because it's tough. And it's only because when you're ready to, you know, answer the tough question that you're going to get a different result in your life.
So we start this by just asking you a simple question, which is, now, as Nikki said, this doesn't matter whether you're in a relationship or not. On a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being my relationship life right now is the best it can be, and 0 is it is crap right now, then to be honest, if you're scoring an 8's a bit, but if you're definitely a 9 or a 10, look, you could turn us off now. You're doing great. You don't really need to hear, unless you really love a bit of contentious stuff, yeah? And you're a bit nosy. But if you're an 8, or definitely if you're a 7 or a less, you need to sit on the edge of your seat and get ready to find out what this thing is. Because believe me, it's the one thing that could turn it all around.
Yeah, and this is, you know, we are, as always, it's a bit of a reputation we've got, isn't it? We're kind of, you know, fairly hard-hitting with our questions because we've known and noticed over the years that when you get to this point where you go, help me, I need to get a better result, you know, that if you're willing to answer this question really from inside of you, then things are going to change, and they're going to change quickly.
Yeah, so it sort of starts off by going, look, if you've ever been out the back of a divorce court, what goes on, and remember there are 3,000 divorces a week in the UK, 20,000 a week in the Western world. I mean, that is a scary figure. So we always say you want to be an example, not a statistic. But if you don't know this, trust me, if you go out the back of a divorce court, well, the number one thing you're going to see happening is that he will be blaming her and she will be blaming him. And this is where the problem lies. Now, when we go to a seminar, we also ask this question. So you can put your hand up now if you love being wrong. Okay?
No.
So I have never seen anybody put their hand up. But see, this is a fundamental challenge for human relationships, be they family, work, or, you know, as we specialise in intimate relationships, because here's the challenge. If indeed you are in a position where you don't want it to be your fault, what you are going to do is you're going to be blaming something, we call it, outside of yourself. Either a circumstance, a situation, or in intimate relationships, the first thing we blame is the other person.
Yeah, in an intimate relationship, it's the other person, it's him or her. And that's why, you know, Tony's just mentioned the marriage stats. I mean, here's what's really scary. Marriage stats are really poor. 50% in the UK, you know, of marriages fail. Over a period of time, of course. And on second marriages and third marriages, because people are doing this thing, fail at 75 and 85%. Because they're basically going, it's his or her fault. You know, I'm not wrong, it's his or her fault, let me find somebody else. And then they go into they go into a relationship where often the same or something similar happens. Because what they're not prepared to do is take a sneaky old look at themselves.
Yeah, so here's the first thing that normally happens when it's not really you that's blaming the other person. I always go, it's your ego. It's your ego that hates with a vengeance being wrong. So when you're in a relationship, you've got that happening times two, because, you know, obviously in our situation, my ego is desperate. I mean, desperate. It's well trained from a child to be not wrong. Now, Nikki's ego, that doesn't want to be wrong either. So here's your challenge. You've got two people that don't want to be wrong. Now, here's the thing. What the ego does is it attempts not only to blame them, but before it gets too seriously into blame, it tries to change them. And it tries to change them to be more like you. There's a great saying that people like them. But of course, the person that you're in your intimate relationship with, or, you know, been in, then if they're not like you and they're doing those annoying little things that you hate them doing, what you try to do is stop them doing it. So the question is, how well does that work? You know, attempting to change another person, it's like a faulty strategy. It's destined, as the word goes, it's destined to fail. And it's such hard work to do. So here's the tough bit. If you really, really, really want to get this right, and you want to go from wherever you are, whatever number you gave, towards a 9 or a 10 relationship, the first thing that you have to do is you have to say to yourself, so how is it all my, and we always, because we like to get in there a bit harsh, how is it all my effing fault? Yeah? Yes. How is it all my fault? Because if the relationship's not working well, know that you won't be able to change them, but this is the empowering position you can put yourself in. See, if you're the victim of their behaviour, that's tough to change. But if you go, so what am I doing that's getting me this result? Now you're in a position of power, because that's something you can change.
Yeah, and we know, don't we, that this is sometimes hard to do real quick. And, you know, we're going like, how's it all your effing fault? We totally believe. This is why our philosophy, our teaching is different than other coaches and therapists and counsellors and everything. Because actually they say quite the opposite. I mean, we've been working with people recently who've gone to counsellors for years and years and years and really not come out of it with anything changing in their lives, because the counsellors are saying, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. And here's some, maybe, if they're, you know, half decent, they're going, and here's some strategies that will change your partner's behaviour. You see, you know, we could not be in integrity and honest and to say to you, you know, that will ever work. Because what we know works is when you're willing to take a look at yourself and go, you know, well, let me ask you a different question, because sometimes the how is this your effing fault can be a bit strong, right, go, because you may not have met us. I mean, some of you may know us really well, but you may not have met us before. So here's a couple of questions that might be helpful, which is like, would you be open to the possibility that you haven't been handling it very well? You know, and again, that doesn't matter whether you're in a relationship or you're just looking to be in a relationship. You may not have been handling these circumstances really well. Or maybe you're ready to go, you know, to answer this question, would you be open to the possibility that you have contributed to this situation you've got right now? That you've kind of co-created it or contributed to it? And if you can say yes to that and answer inside of yourself, yeah, I've been doing that, and actually I've been saying that, and actually I've been thinking about him or her or men or women in this way, then you're coming along and you're halfway there, so that eventually, like, you can answer Tony's question, which is, You know, how have you created this situation? You know, when people ring us up, which they do all the time, and go, look, you know, let me describe my situation and it's not good for me, and, you know, how can you help? We really ask them that question really early on so that we can sense how willing to take a look at what they've been doing that they are. So we always ask them, well, how have you kind of created, or how have you got yourself into this situation? And sometimes people's reaction will tell us everything. It will tell us how far along that road they are. So we know that this is really full on. It's our middle name, I'm afraid. It's full on. But we know that you might be sitting there today really at the end of your tether. You're in a lot of pain. This is not working out. And it's that area of your life. And of course, this area of your life affects everything. It affects how you are with your kids. It affects how you are in your business. It affects your health. And so this is why, you know, we make no excuse for being really like hard-hitting here.
Yeah, and if you're sort of sitting there going, yeah, but you know, hey, I can sort of see how I might have created some of it, but I can't see how I created all of it. Or worse still, you know, you've got into like a really dysfunctional relationship, and you know, you feel these things are happening to you, you know, like violence and all sorts of things can happen in relationships, you know, and obviously that is a, you know, really difficult thing to deal with. But of course you could, and you know, even in this situation, if you use the victim word, I am a victim of this, then unfortunately you tend to get sort of stuck in a box which is labelled victim, and it's quite hard to get out of that box. So all we're doing, even if you're finding this really, really difficult, to go, look, it can't possibly be my fault because he did this, this, this and this, or she did this, this, this and this, and that's completely unacceptable. This is not about condoning somebody's behaviour, because you know, but remember, it's their ego that's running this behaviour, just like your ego's running a behaviour. But of course, for the most part, we don't look at ourselves, we look at them. But remember, you know, it's really difficult to change them. And I'm sure if it's, you know, dysfunctional, you would have done your best to try that. But notice how many times, however many times you've tried, it's not working. And that's why understanding this is one of the most empowering things that starts a new journey where suddenly your relationship life can, you know, take the next right and, you know, on the road to having, you know, a more loving and intimate relationship, the one that you thought you'd signed up to, but you never as yet have really fully embraced and experienced.
So
there you go. It is all your fault. And that, honestly, I can tell you that how it changed our world. You know, we invented this by working on ourselves and utilising this tool on ourselves. So we know that it takes you on a new path in your relationship life, and as I say, it works in all sorts of relationships. You know, we've used this in relationships with people's boss or their mother or whatever, where this relationship's, you know, not working, it's dysfunctional. Trust me, it turns them around and then take a completely new path if you can do this. Now,
and I mean, we use it every day. Well, not every day, but we're definitely using it when we get disconnected. We do, don't we? And we say to ourselves individually, because this is, you know, we want to, you know, walk our talk, but also because we want our relationship to be at a 10.
Yes.
You know, and if it ever dips below, which it does, because life happens and we do old things that we used to do, you know, we both go inside and ask ourselves those questions.
It's powerful.
And it's incredible. And all of a sudden, you know, Mr. Grumpy and Mrs. Krabby, they go away. And out comes Tony and Nikki. And then we get that great kind of, you know,
it's fabulous. It's just
connection
fabulous.
that everybody wants.
As we always say, this is a very, not, you know, some people used to use this saying, a bitter pill to swallow. This is like swallowing a gigantic pill if you've never come across this strategy before. But that's what Tony and Nikki V, the relationship couple, are all about. It's about going, like, was it Star Trek, going to places people have never gone before. Because it's there, you know, good old Einstein said, you know, the thinking that created the problem, it needs a different thinking
Yeah.
to solve the problem than that created it.
That is
Something like
profound.
that anyway. So
is
that's what we're really about. We're in there with Einstein. You know, how can we support you in some new thinking that could take you on that new path, which
Yes.
is, you know, we always call it the road to love.
Yeah.
And so that's it. Underneath this video, we've got some boxes that you can fill in and stuff that you can get from us. But we're going to be back next week. That's what we do. TNTV is a weekly thing. So, you know, be looking in your inbox next week for the next version of TNTV. And really, it's from me, Tony V, and my amazing and beautiful wife. Doesn't she look great today? I love this dress, yeah. And she's done her hair.
It's my
she's-
Sunday dress and it's Friday because it's
It is.
celebration time.
Yes, yes.
First
indeed.
TNTV
But yes.
for a long time.
So yes, from me, Tony V, and my beautiful and amazing wife, Nikki V. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye bye.